Hello, 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 everyone. So today we are in for an amazing treat. The children of the SWEP program wanted to learn more about civic engagement. They wanted to know that their voices matter, how they could get involved in the community. So what better way to do it than to have a forum, a live forum, where our students can talk, get to know what's going on in their community, some of the things that they don't know, and be able to actually utilize their voices to talk about the things that matter. So I'm going to bring on first Mr. Angelo Pinto from the Until Freedom team, who has been working with students in regards to social justice. Mr. Pinto, could you come on quickly and kind of talk to us and let the folks know what's been happening in your classrooms and how engaged these students are and what they want to know about and what we can kind of expect today?
Certainly. So, for a few weeks now, I've had the opportunity, the privilege of hosting these young people, actually teaching them about social justice along with the Until Freedom team. And we really started with social justice 101, if you will, like what's the history of activism and social justice work. And then we kind of drilled down into this particular historical moment that we're currently in with the social uprisings around police brutality and police accountability. And then we really heard from the students about what are the issues that concern them, what are the issues in their community that move the most. And what we've learned, and what I learned was, one, that the students were, of course, brilliant, phenomenal students, but that they had a lot to say about the issues that impact them. And not only did they have a lot to say, they were interested in figuring out how they go from caring about an issue to making impact on the issue and changing things. So part of what we've been doing over the past couple of weeks is really saying, how do you go from an idea around making change to actually making the change? And we've been fleshing out the ways to do that along with the particular issue students are focused on. And we're actually planning, I don't know if you want me to share, some community actions to really begin to get the students engaged.
Yes, I want you to talk about that. But for those that don't know who you are, Mr. Angelo Pinto, could you just introduce yourself briefly? I'm so sorry. We should kind of did that up front.
No problem. So Angelo Pinto, I'm a co-founder of Until Freedom, which is a civil rights social justice organization, along with three other co-founders, Linda Sarsour, Tamika Mallory, and my son Lennon. And we really started Until Freedom after working with each other for around a decade on police violence issues, gun violence issues. And I met the brilliant group of folks kind of working on a campaign in New York State called Raise the Age. So New York State was once one of two states that automatically prosecuted 16 and 17-year-olds as adults for any crime that they committed. And I worked on the campaign. I led the campaign in New York State that ended that practice. So 16 and 17-year-olds are no longer prosecuted as adults, most of them, and none can be housed in adult jails and facilities. So if you've heard of the Khalif Browder story, he was prosecuted as an adult in New York State. The exonerated 5 were prosecuted as adults in New York State. So this law really changed the scope of that practice across New York State. So that's a little bit about me and Until Freedom.
Thank you so much. And you're also an attorney.
That's true. I'm a movement attorney, activist, organizer, freedom fighter.
Sounds good. So we are not going to delay any longer. We're just privileged to be able to come to the great city of East Orange. And we got that privilege through Mayor Ted Green. So do we have Mayor Ted Green on to give the folks a great big welcome? Mayor Ted Green, are you there? Okay, I know we've been waiting for Mayor Ted Green, but we also have another mayor in the building who is going to also give kids some just background about civic engagement. Do we have Mayor Shawn Patterson-Howard in the building from Mount Vernon? You are on mute.
Here we go. Yes. How's everyone doing? Hi, Jamila. Hi, Angelo. It's good to be here with you.
Yes. So we are so happy to have you on. So we're talking today about the importance of civic engagement among students. And we want you to kind of like tell folks a little bit about yourself and how you came to office? Because some of our students don't think that their voice matters, or they don't think that they could perhaps reach the space and the place that you are in. So if you could give a little bit of backstory about yourself and what you currently do.
Sure. My name is Shawn Patterson-Howard. I'm the mayor of the city of Mount Vernon. I've been a lifelong resident of Mount Vernon, and I went through the public school system. And really, it was in the public school system where I became active in middle school and high school as a student, speaking out about things in our school, wanting better equipment, more teachers, updated books, going to the school board meetings and speaking to the school board representatives. And as we noticed that there were things that we were lacking in the community, whether it was wanting the parks to be upgraded, wanting more youth recreational opportunities, community violence, youth employment training, whatever the issue was, we learned how to also go to the city council meetings and speak up and start to use our voice to make change. And that's really what civic engagement is about. It's really about being able to discuss what you're passionate about and bring that to your elected officials or your community leadership in whatever forum. So if it's a school issue, the school board; if it's a city issue, going to the city council or the mayor. And if it was something that happened on the state level, then we learned how to travel up to Albany and have conversation with our assembly people and our senators and state commissioners as well.
That's amazing that you guys learned that. So we want to teach our students that. We want to teach them that their voices matter now. We actually have activist Tamika Mallory in the building. Tamika Mallory, could you join in on this discussion? We're talking about social justice and why it's important for youth. And we want to allow our youth to know that they can also get involved from young. So Tamika, will you introduce yourself and talk about your activism, how it got started, and could you inspire some of the youth that's on to know that they could also use their voice?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, everyone. Hello, Mayor. Love you so much. And to my dear partner and sister in the struggle, Jamila T. Davis. I'm excited to be with you all today. I'm actually in the middle of 90 calls. I'm living in Kentucky along with attorney Angelo Pinto and the other co-founders of Until Freedom, here fighting for justice for a young woman by the name of Breonna Taylor. And so I have so much going on. I wanted to come and just spend a few moments with you all to just say that first, please just feel good about the fact that you are even in such a program, that you have this type of opportunity. I wish when I was younger, and I know Mayor Howard would agree with this, that when we were younger, and we're not exactly the same age, but certainly I know you all share these sentiments, that we didn't have these types of programs. We didn't have the types of programs where you had an opportunity to really touch and feel in a real way people who were successful, but folks who had come through many trials and tribulations and made it to these positions that we all dream about when we're kids, right? All of us we're considered a statistic. None of us are supposed to be in the positions that we're in today. There's no way that a young girl growing up in the projects in Harlem was supposed to make it to the point where I've organized marches with over 5 million people around the world, when I've been able to speak to and sit among presidents and to sit in some of the high places, making real decisions about the lives of Black and brown people in this country. That is not something that was considered for me, but because of the support of my family, and also the fact that I was extremely engaged in community activities, even when I strayed away, I was always led back to my foundation of really understanding that whatever we put in is what we get out. So what you put into the work, what you put into your education, what you put in is what you are going to be returned with. And so I would say to you all, take this program and take your counsel from Jamila and others seriously. Just take it and make it important, make it a priority to you, because you never know where you may end up. Even though right now, some may be saying that your story is limited, that your life will be limited. I think we are an example that we can go as high as we want to go as long as we have the support of community. And so I'm glad to be a part of this program, and we will continue until freedom to work with you all and to invest all that we can to make sure that your lives are the success stories that we're looking to build among our community.
Thank you so much, Tamika. I know that you have to go back, so we are just very happy to have your presence. And we're going to be talking more with Mr. Pinto about what you guys are organizing and what the students are up to. And we have our students that are going to come on and also share their voice. So thank you so much, Tamika, for joining us.
Thank you, and I'll run back a little bit later. So thanks a lot. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
Okay. So there you have it. That's Tamika, someone who started off in the projects. She was a part of the movement actually at a young age. So she was able to get understanding from her parents and people such as Al Sharpton, like what possibilities were. And then she took that experience, right? So again, that just shows us, Mayor Howard, when we invest in our children, sometimes even when we think they're not paying attention, because Tamika's parents certainly didn't think she was paying attention. You know, she went left, but came back right, and she was able to use the experience that she gained within the organization to actually launch a movement. And then they are now working with the students of East Orange, and we're actually been able to kind of gauge the students and kind of give them an opportunity to use their voices and have a platform to share. So we're actually waiting for Mayor Ted Green to get on now. I'm not sure if he's in the back room as of yet, but if he's not in the back room yet, Mayor Patterson-Howard, we're going to ask that you stay on. And Angelo Pinto from Until Freedom, while we're waiting for the mayor, can we align with your students, and can you guys talk to us a little bit about what you're trying to do in the city of East Orange so folks can hear and understand the plan?
Certainly. So right now, we're actually planning a rally that will be happening this month with the students of East Orange, and it's a student-led march and rally. I don't want to give away too much detail, but it'll be certainly focusing on some of the social justice issues and police brutality challenges that have been happening in New Jersey. We really wanted to see the young people put forward the initiative and do what they felt is necessary in the city of East Orange. Really connecting with what they're seeing happening nationally, because it's exactly what's happening in their city as well. In just a couple of weeks, the young people of East Orange will be leading a very powerful effort in partnership with Until Freedom. We're actually planning on leaving Louisville to come back to East Orange for that day to stand in solidarity with the young people as they demand accountability and justice throughout East Orange. So it should be a very powerful day indeed.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. I think we are still waiting for Mayor Ted Green. So while we're doing that, Lydia, do we have any of our students in the back who can come up and speak on the fact of what they're doing and what they're working on? I'm not exactly sure who we have backstage as of present right now. We had a plan, but then it turned into another plan. So that's kind of what have happened sometimes.
So while we're waiting, can I just share with you some of the things that we're doing with our young people and what I've done with them over there? Excuse my voice is hoarse. I've, like I said, been out on storm patrol. But one of the things that I've done over probably the last 25 years with young people in our community is to help them find their voice. Oftentimes our young people see things from a vantage point and they might be frustrated, but they're oftentimes only called on to co-sign an adult's frustration, but very rarely do we call our young people to the table and say, what are your concerns? What are your frustrations? And how do we help you craft your message so that you can go out and speak and advocate on behalf of yourselves? And that's important because no one can tell a young person's story and express what a young person needs the way that a young person can. And so we need to trust that they know what it is that they want. They know what it is that they need. And as adults, we have to provide them with the technical support to really have the confidence and to craft their own narrative and to share that and to help them understand where the city council meetings are, where the school board meetings are. One of the things that I started about 20 years ago with our young people is there was a mayoral and a city council election, and there were so many different debates that were happening, but none of them really took into account what the young people needed. And so we got the young people together and they said, we want to hold our own debate. And so they came up with the different questions that they had. We helped them find a location for the debate, helped them send out the invitations to the different elected officials, and we gave the elected officials the rules. We're going to ask you the questions, stick to the questions, no dodging the questions. We're going to ask you tough questions, and we want real answers. Don't placate us. Don't blow us off. Don't act like because we're young or, 15 or 16 or 12 that we don't know what we want and what we need. And that was one of the most successful and empowering opportunities that those young people had because they brought their issues to the electeds, and then they were able to get the information they needed and go out into the community and decide who they wanted to support. Just because they may not be of voting age does not mean that these young people don't have influence to impact their parents' vote and community members' votes. And so you don't have to wait until you're 18 to become vocal. You can become vocal at any time, and your voice will carry a message that can impact the elections that are happening in your community. And your local elections are the most important because these are the people that are closest to you and who should be most responsible and responsive to the needs of our young people and the ideas of our young people in the community.
That is good stuff. So without further ado, let's do this. Let's bring on our city council members. We have our city council members that are backstage. You just said something important. It starts on a local level and their voices matter, right? So
Yes.
why don't we have a discussion, Mayor Howard, if you would stay with me, please, with the city council so we can understand what is the process. Because a lot of kids don't understand what the process is. When we tell them to vote, they're not understanding that voting is necessary. So if we can have some of our city council come on and join this conversation. I see Councilman Christopher Orr here. How are you doing today, sir?
How you doing? I'm well.
Oh, yes. Councilwoman Brittany Claybrooks. I think I met you before. How are you?
Yes. Hi, how are you? I'm
Okay.
good. How are you?
Yes. So we wanted to start the conversation. Could you talk to us about where does it start? And how old do you have to be to vote in the city of East Orange? And what can our kids do there to become more active and have their voices heard?
Well,
Yeah.
if I can begin, I'm born and bred in East Orange, and I tell you, it starts well before you actually turn the age of 18, where you're actually able to vote. I started off as a rambunctious teen that just had a lot to say, and was able to get the ear of those elected officials and those mentors who, I forced them to listen to me. And so with that, I was lucky enough where they say, you know what, you have a lot to say, let's pull you in, let's let you learn about what's happening. And with that, we've been able to be bred and come to this position here. So I'm super excited for all our youth that's here, because it started for all of us a program like this summer work experience program. It started something like this where we were able to, advocate for ourselves and take agency in terms of what's happening to our community. I know here in East Orange, we understand how our youth are our future. And so we are actually started giving them more opportunities to have more agency. So for example, we are really proud on City Council to actually put into ordinance in terms of having a community advisory board where our teens, our kids, are the key members of that advisory board, and they're sitting at the table with us elected officials. They're sitting at the table with us, our police agencies and our fire agencies and so on and so forth, where they're able to have a voice and they're actually able to have some input into what's going on. So that's one of the ways we do it here in East Orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now we actually have Mayor Ted Green in the building. So let's bring him on. We could actually have 10 people, up to 10 people talking at the same time. So I want to pull our honorable Mayor Ted Green on, and the rest of the council people that are backstage. If we can get them on, so we can start a roundtable discussion about the importance of the voices of the youth and what they can do in the city of East Orange to activate their voices. Hello, Mayor Green. How are you?
How's everybody doing? How you doing? I apologize. It took me a minute to get on.
It's okay. It's okay. That's what happens. But you have a whole team to support you in the in-between time. And we're going to roll up our sleeves and get started because we want to talk about the importance of civic engagement and the youth getting started in the conversation. So, you know, if you could just set it off and introduce yourself and how you got involved in
so let me start off saying to everyone, good afternoon to the mayor. How you doing, Mayor Howard? To all my council, I'm gonna say colleagues and my council friends. You know, this conversation is really easy because every one of us who probably on this live stream today had an opportunity by, you know, getting involved in the community. I just heard Councilman Alway allude to how we are engaging our young people. I mean, East Orange is a testament of civic through the last really decade. You look at Brittany Claybrook, who has been involved in civics. I love that purple too, Councilwoman. And we got Tamika Garrett and Councilman Brett. Probably all of us. We know how important really. We've been driving this together probably for the last, I'm gonna say 20 years and going up to now, how important it is for community engagement, how important for not only our young people to be involved. I hear that our council, they started a committee prior to me coming into as being elected official. I've been working with young people all my life because there were so many other mentors that was in my life who gave me an opportunity. We engage with our young people monthly when the schools was open prior to this pandemic, where we was inviting our student council in to come in and not only get to know what government was all about, but also letting them know that they have a voice in our community. And with what we do, they have to engage in, because really whatever we do as the mayor and as the legislators, our young people have to be involved because they are the future of the city and they need to know what's going on. So this conversation is going to be great because not one of the 10 member councils do not agree how important our young people need to be when it comes to community engagement. And that's what we do. That's what we pride ourselves around as elected officials and public servants.
Wow, that sounds good. So we would like to hear also from the other two council people, Ms. Tamika Garrett Ward, who I got to meet in person as well, and Mr. Mustafa Brent, Councilman Mustafa Brent. Just a little bit about ways our folks could activate their voices in the community, and any advice you can give them concerning getting more involved in civic engagement.
I'll go first. Can you all hear me?
Go ahead,
Yes.
I'll let my sister.
Okay.
To make it go first.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Civic engagement, it starts when you're young, when you least expect to actually be involved. A lot of our youth are actually involved without even thinking that they're involved. When I first started, my most recent memories or earliest memories was when I was actually student council president of East Orange High School. I was, you know, a member of the 100th graduating class of the high school. But during that time, we were working with different organizations, doing food drives and things of that nature. And I worked with the city for quite some time in another capacity. And upon viewing job applications, I would look at the applications, and a lot of the young people would put that they didn't have any work experience. So I would have conversations with them, and I would ask them, well, did you do anything with your church? Did you do anything in your school? And if they help with bake sales, food drives, clothing drives, citywide cleanups, volunteer service, or just anything, babysitting for somebody, a lot of times they don't look at those things as being a part of their community or starting to get involved with civics, but that does have a leadway into getting involved with civics. When you're out there in the community helping to clean it up, when you're out there talking with the neighbors, with your residents, that's a part of being involved in the city. I talk with the young people all the time about the importance of voting, and talking to their parents about, the importance of the census. Years ago, we were considered property, not people. Now we have the opportunity to be counted as people, which we should have been all along. But it's so important to instill the history in our young folks. With government, the only way that you can complain is if you get involved. If you don't get involved, you can't complain. If you don't vote, you can't complain. If you don't complain to city council, you can't complain. Before I became a councilwoman, I was a district leader for 2 terms, I believe. And one of the things in knocking on doors was listening to some of the concerns that the residents would have. And I would always tell them, don't give me a complaint, give me a concern and a possible solution. Because when you have solutions, you're a part of the fabric that makes our community stronger. Because, a lot of people can complain, but when you complain, you don't have a solution, then, you're part of the problem, actually.
Now, that's good stuff. So guys, you guys have all said some empowering things for our students, and they want you to hear their voices. They have some things that they have to say. So we want to allow them an opportunity to actually come on. If we could keep Mayor Patterson-Howard and Mayor Ted Green on, and I'm actually going to probably go out as well. I want you to meet some of the leader organizers of the East Orange SWEP program. These children have shown up and showed out. They have organized and put together campaigns around what is important to them, right? So they want to actually share that information with you today, and they want to get some advice from you, because one of the things that you all have said is that their voice matters, and it's important to activate their voices now. So what we're going to do is a 2-part thing. One, we want the council people to listen in, and then you're going to come back via Zoom where you'll all be able to actually have a real round table. But we're going to ask that you log out, the council people, and let the mayor stay on, and we're going to actually listen to our students and what they have to say. I'm going to actually remove myself too as well once they get in, because they have some important things to say, and we want to hear from you about what you think about what they have to say and effective ways that they could actually implement some of their ideas for solutions in the community. So if we can allow the students to now enter into the building, and if you guys can hold on, we're going to give you a link to join the Zoom, but we're going to give you the link to also watch live so you can hear what they have to say, and directly following hearing their messages and what they have to say, we are going to come to the Zoom room, and in the Zoom, that's where we're going to actually have the round circle. So just give us a couple of minutes to organize. This is all put together. This is the first time we did multiple boxes like this. So it's a little bit different, but I know it's going to be great. So now we have the mayors on. You guys are free to talk a little bit too while we're organizing the students, right? And we are bringing them on one by one.
Hey, Mayor, you see, I'm not in the office this morning. If you see me closing doors, I'm in my kitchen.
That makes you human. It's okay to be in the kitchen.
Hey, listen, I got a couple of contractors at the house, so I have to be kind of present around, so I'm not in the office this morning, but I'll be there shortly. But I said, let me do what I have to do.
We're very grateful to have you on, and you have some most. And I was telling Mayor Patterson-Howard, she has some remarkable students out her way too. But you guys have some remarkable students who have some amazing voices. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear what they have to say. They've been working hard on this. They've been putting their presentations together because it's just amazing as a youth to be able to have your attention like this. So the fact that you stop and clear your day to make room for them just means everything. And we're just so grateful for you guys.
Well, you made all this worthwhile, Jamila, to be honest with you. The energy that you bring to this program, the energy that you bring to our young people, the energy that you bring to many of us as adults, we love it. So again, you play a vital role and this energy that's going on around this this summer SWEP program. I'm telling you.
Oh, thank you so much. But I'm inspired by the energy that I'm receiving. So yes, first on, okay. They are coming into the building. We have Nia Carter, we have Brooks Walker, we have Sage
Sage, how you get Sage?
Yes.
Hi.
Danielle,
how are you?
How y'all young people doing?
Yes. So let's get this conversation started because this is definitely one of the conversations that we've been waiting to hear about. So Sage has kind of become the leader representative.
Oh, has she?
Program. So Sage, could you introduce yourself and kind of talk about what you're looking to make happen in East Orange?
Of course. Well, hi, everybody. As most of you may know, I'm Sage McFadder Davis, 17 years old at STEM Academy Rising Senior. And so Mayor Green and Mayor Howard, I would like to tell you that my platform has always been the importance of equality within the Black education system within the past couple of years. And just like I think it was Miss Tamika, Councilwoman Tamika, who was telling us, you can't complain if you're not doing anything behind those complaints. And so within the past year, I've worked with the East Orange Civic Trust, or Organizing Civic Trust, to help instill the importance of kind of embracing our Amistad bill, which basically says you have to meet a quota of just how much Black history you do learn. And there was a problem with the East Orange Board of Education and education system. We weren't learning enough. And it's like, I have to learn my history if I want to be great in the future, because, Black history is just as important as any other history. So we have fully embraced the Amistad bill, and now it's all the way inside of our curriculum. I can thank Mayor Green. I can thank the city councilmen and women within the past couple of months that have helped us. And I'm learning everything that I need to know, but I mean, this is not the end of the track. We still have so much more to go. I need to learn about my history. I need to learn simple skills for life. I need to learn political science, financial literacy, and we really have to work on the Black education system if we want to be as powerful as our counterparts, white, Asian, and anything. I'm learning everything that I need to know. At the end of the track, we still have so much more to go. I need to learn about my history.
It's not working. Okay.
Simple.
Faith? Her system just messed up the system. Sage? Okay, could you continue talking, please? I'm sorry.
That was really just to wrap it up. I feel as if our Black education, well, not our Black education system, our education system needs to be up to par with the other communities around this country. I have friends, I've gone to school all over the country because I've lived in so many different places. But when I talk to my friends from Arizona, when I talk to my friends from West Orange, Florida, New York, there's no reason why I'm in biology class and I'm saying, so, hey, what unit are you guys in right now? And they're telling me some crazy name I've never heard of. I'm learning about macromolecules or something that they learned at the beginning of the school year. And so it's important that my education system prepares me to be great in the future. And, you can tell me.
What do you say? So you're saying that there's an issue. What would you propose to correct it? Or do you have a solution for the?
Well, the solution is to think, okay. The solution would be, hey, I know that I needed these skills growing up. We go to the Board of Education and I'm like, okay, so what do you guys need now that you didn't necessarily learn in high school? And, you need to compare it to other curriculums throughout the state and compare it to the communities who are doing the best academically, who's testing the highest, who's learning the most right now, where are they, and compare it to ours. Our testing shouldn't be any below theirs because we're just as capable, if not even more. And so I think the big thing is comparison right now. There's a lot of communities who are probably doing a little bit better than us academically. And if we say, okay, what are they doing versus what we're doing, we can finally start making a big change.
So Mayor Green, would you comment in on that? Do you have any feedback or comments in regards to what she's suggesting or saying?
I got kicked off just a little. I don't know what happened, but let me start off by saying to all our young people that are on our screen this afternoon, we are very honored to have all of you. We're very proud of all of you. Listen, I have known Sage all her life, really. Her mom has been, and her family has been doing some outstanding things here in the community. I sat on council with her mom. I know what she stands for when it comes to policy and legislation. And one thing I can agree on is that Sage have a sense of understanding of civic, right? And understanding the importance of being involved in the community. And that comes from a grassroots situation with her mom, you know, bringing up through campaigns and bringing it up through county committee and being out on the street with walking the street, knocking on doors. I do agree with her when it comes to several things. The civic part, all our young people should be involved because they have to know that they are the voices of this future. You're starting to see that now with what's happening in terms of what happened with George Floyd. You're seeing more young people getting involved than ever across the board. And these storms, those are some of the sentiments that we're driving so our young people can have an opportunity to know that they are included and have a voice in our community. I quite often, when I talk to young people about being the mayor, because we are on a local level, and when you're on a local level, the mayor probably can attest to this, we get blamed for everything, you know, although we have to have a relationship, and we do, we get blamed for the roads, the lights, the school, if it's a crime, because we're on a local level. I always say that local mayors have the most toughest job than those folks who are on the freeholders, not to knock them, freeholder or senate or assembly, because we're on the front lines. I quite often heard Shay talk about the education component, right? Being a mayor, we work very close with our board education, right? Mm-hmm. And when we appoint the board members, we appoint board members who have an interest in not only our city, but our young people. I do agree when it comes to East Orange, and we look at certain standards that other municipalities have and other schools have. She's absolutely right. We should not be treated, especially with our education component, any different from any other high school, grammar school, or even elementary school. We should have the same standards that any other municipality have, and that's when the legislators come in from a local level, building those relationships with those who are on a higher level than we are. Because what happens is that although we set policies and procedures on a local level, Sage and young people, what happens is triggers up. Like, for instance, our governor, our lieutenant governor, our assembly people, our senates, our congressmen, all that has to trigger up to make it work down at the lower level. And that's why we say all the time, you have to have relationships with those people that can change those type of bills and legislation on a high level. So I get it. I work very hard each and every day, you know, because I have a grandson now, right? And I say that I have to make sure when it comes to education, especially here in our community, and when I appoint those folks that go on education board members, right, and Sage's mom on there, you appoint those people that clearly you know that's going to have the best interest and fight hard for the future of our young people who one day going to be sitting on this, on this Zoom or this stream, talking about, what needs to be done. So I agree with her. I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to continue to put the people in place. And it's not about politics with me. I always tell people I'm more of a public servant than a politician, because sometimes I don't know how to be the politician because I care too much about my people, right? And when you care too much, sometimes people feel that you ain't doing what they ask you to do, but I'm gonna always do the right thing, and I'm making sure that our young people get every buck for their dollar.
Thank you so much, Mayor Green. Next up, we have Brooks Walker. So what are you passionate about, and what do you want to see happen?
Kind of following on with the trend of the education system, I'm really passionate about learning and teaching people about mental health, because, like, of course, the education system can't teach you everything that you need to know about life, but there's certain things that should be focused on, because over the past decade or so, mental health and mental health awareness is just been on the rise and keeps rising. And I think that we should try to implement that in our school systems. Like, say for instance, health class. I don't know about anybody else, but in my health class, all we do is take notes about, like, the digestive system and stuff like that. But if we're able to get, like, professionals that can help us identify mental health problems and identify symptoms of, like, depression, anxiety, or how to even help people who are going through a panic attack or anxiety attack, I think that's really important to, like, just help develop us, especially as teenagers. Especially, that's when I see the most mental health problems and most mental health issues kind of activate. So, like, if we could learn about that, I think it'll help us just to develop us a lot more as we're growing up, especially into young adulthood outside of school.
Mayor Patterson-Howard, are you guys doing anything regarding students and mental health in your area?
Absolutely. So, we really believe in the whole trauma-informed care model. And so we know a lot of our young people have experienced trauma, whether it's been domestic violence, exposure to crime, having a parent who is addicted or who is in jail. There are so many different areas of trauma, and we work with our young people around that. But then we also have what we call community mental health first aid. So mental health first aid training is something that we do, because just like you're able to identify a person who is physically hurt and you know how to wrap and to bind those wounds, we have to make sure that we are instituting mental health first aid in our community, because that helps you to identify young people who are dealing with anxiety and depression, who are dealing with trauma. It helps you to understand how to approach them and help them to de-escalate when they're in a heightened state and they're upset about something. So mental health first aid is just as important as knowing how to give someone CPR. It's that mental and it's that emotional and it's that social wellness CPR that our young people need. They need when we see them upset, we can't approach them like the old church mother 40 years ago in church and go, boy, you better sit down, because that doesn't help them. We need to say, honey, what's going on? Because today you're responding in a way that I'm not used to, or what's going on? You seem to be feeling a lot. Let's sit down and have a conversation. And we're able to pull them in, help them de-escalate, and know that we hear their voices. They are going through the same level, sometimes, if not more stress than adults are. And just because they're not 2 times 10 plus 1 doesn't mean what they're feeling and what they're experiencing is not legitimate. And so if we don't want them on the block being violent, if we don't want them out there with 40s and drinking or going and smoking a tree, then we need to be able to skillfully walk them through a conversation about what they're feeling emotionally. And we can't just do it for a showstopper and open up our young people, because we call our young people into forums and we tell them, tell us what's on your heart. And we open them up like a can of worms. And then we don't do anything to help stitch them together and close it. But then we feel we had a big, good town hall forum. So if we want to call them forward to talk about their pain and frustration, we must make sure that we're finishing the operation. And after we've opened them up and taken something out or put something in, that we're stitching them back together again with love, and that we're making sure that at the end of the healing process, we're giving them some time to recover before we throw them back into situations.
I love it. Thank you so much. Now we have Naya Carter. Naya, will you share what is important to you and what you want to work on in your community?
Yes. Hi, how are you guys?
Hi, Naya.
Most of you guys know, or maybe not, my name is Naya Carter. I just graduated from Cicely Tyson. And while I was there, I served as student council president. So I got to go and experience the city council and just see all that in the mayor's office. And it was a great experience. And it just got to really teach us about, civic engagement and things like that. So with that being said, one of the things that I'm passionate about as an athlete, as a performer, like born and raised in East Orange and just growing up here, I feel like it's important for us to have like an improved recreational center and just places for us to go to either hone our crafts or just go to have somewhere to go, whether it be after school or otherwise. And even to that point, as far as our athletic things, I grew up cheerleading like Pop Warner, and I know that our East Orange cheer and football teams and basketball programs for like younger kids are really strong. But just having maybe like some more programs for children to join before they even reach the high school level so that they can be more competitive and just more prepared to excel in certain sports. And it can even be if students lead it, like high school athletes lead these programs to teach the younger generations coming up after them, and just things like that, recreational things provided like from our city so that like we can thrive in those areas.
Mayor Ted Green, could you respond?
Right. Naya, first of all, I know you're moving on. You're going to college, right? We're very proud of you. And I want to personally thank you for being a part of the mayor's student council meetings that we had in City Hall. And I can tell you absolutely right. I know one thing that we're doing. I know when I grew up in the city of East Orange, how important that I got involved in our, recreation and culture fair activities. We're working very hard now. We just recently applied for a grant. What we're trying to do is build a state-of-the-art recreation culture affairs center in the city of East Orange. We was actually trying to work with our board of education on the old Sissy Tyson School of Performing Arts on Elmwood Avenue. There's so many other organizations that are working with us and trying to find a location. But I do believe that is one of my top priorities of making sure that we have somewhere for not only our young people, but adults to go and do the things that they need to do. Because one thing we understand about being involved in recreation and culture affairs, not only give you a sense of confidence and self-esteem, but it also give you an avenue to release stress, learn about teamwork, and learn about good sportsmanship. I agree with you 100%. We're doing everything we can under the Ted Green administration to make sure that happens. And I would love for you to be a part of that. I know you going off to college, but I still want you to stay in touch, stay on the emails, and I want you to hold me and even this Eastern City Council members accountable, because we owe that to our young people to make sure that when it comes to building an institute such as that we deliver. So we're doing everything we can, grants, federal dollars, state dollars. We got our planning and development department, Dan Jennings, he's been working on some things. So we are definitely making sure that hopefully when you come back one day, you see a state-of-the-art center where you can take your friends and everybody to.
I hope so.
I love it. Well, the fact that your mayor is a master karate teacher shows that he is serious about, recreation and kids being involved in activities. So when he says what he says, I believe him, because that is an important part of his life. So I'm sure that you guys are going to get some progress on that.
Yes, it is. Yes,
I have one more thing that I want to make sure I address because someone asked me. Just talking about the aesthetic of the community and just making it look a little better, like people who live here care about where they live. And I know that the East Orange Public Works Department works hard on that.
Yes.
Because I got to talk to the director of that during that experience, but also I was wondering if there was a way to implement it so that other people can join, and maybe more often, like an event where everyone can come out to help clean up. I know they have the clean up the city thing. But I know that I rarely see anything about it for me to go out. So maybe just more things where people can be made aware of when we can come out and actually help to clean up the city.
No, you're absolutely right. One of the important things is we talk about here in our city is that we talk about keeping our city clean and safe, right? And part of that campaign, we talk about it every day. I think that the number one thing that we have to do is we have to not teach it, but people have to have pride in their community, right? And when you have pride in your community, you're not going to allow yourself to allow folks or yourself or your friends or your neighbor to throw paper on the ground or not. When they see something, pick it up. When I was a young man, very quickly, one thing my father instilled in me is that when my sister and I and him, and my mother was walking down the street, and we saw a piece of paper on the ground. My dad didn't care if it was your property or your neighbor property. And you know, as a young guy, I used to say, well, Dad, why I gotta pick the paper up? He said, because it's your community. It's your community. When you take pride in your community, you don't let your ego get in the way and say, well, I didn't throw that paper down there, so why I gotta pick it up? When you take pride in your community, like young people like yourself, and we pick paper up, we get involved in the cleanup. Listen, when I came in office, we had 3 cleanups a year. We had 3 cleanups throughout the city. People was cleaning up in front of their property. We was cleaning up lots. We was cleaning up this. I quite often say this to people, right? And you know about this. If we ride through Verona, if we ride through West Caldwell, if we ride through Cedar Grove, and we had something in our hand, we won't throw it on the ground. But know what people think? Oh, it's my community. I don't care. You gotta take the same pride that you have about your community. You take that. I mean, about other community. Take that and put it in your community. So we're working on hard to keep East Orange clean, green, and safe. My last name Green, but you know, green do sound good.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay. So next up, we have Danielle Antoine. If you could introduce yourself and talk about what you are passionate about.
Okay, hi, my name is Danielle Antoine.
Hey,
I'm a rising senior. Hi, from East Orange STEM Academy, and I'm very passionate about mental health in the Black community and people of color as well. And I know that we discussed it before, but I have a personal take on it as well, because growing up, I very much struggled with mental health, and I feel like it's so important to not only educate kids about mental health, but educate the parents, because it starts from the head of the family in order to spread that knowledge down, because it takes a village to raise a child. I feel as though there should be opportunities and workshops for parents to come in and to learn about mental health and what can you do as an adult to help with your mental health and help with your kids' mental health as well, because we have so much bottled up trauma that we face. We see disproportionate levels of Black people being killed on the media, and we just get kind of numb to it, and we experience it, and we just kind of pass it on to our children as well, and they experience things which they feel like they cannot speak about. I feel as though we should have workshops for children and parents, obviously separated, so there isn't as much of a pressure to hide what you're feeling when it comes to your parents. And I feel like there should be group therapy sessions so kids will feel more comfortable about letting their walls down and talking, so they know that, oh, they can relate to somebody else that might be closer in their age. And also in those recreation centers, which we mentioned before, I feel like there should be a space where kids can come and they can just, if not talk about what they're feeling, they can go and do other things that might help them de-stress and relax and understand what they're going through as a person, understand that they're not in trouble and that what they're going through isn't a problem. I feel like that's very important for the Black community, especially with everything going on right now.
Can I speak to that? So I'm a social worker. Okay, I've been a social worker. I went to Howard University for social work, and I'm a minister. And so what you say is absolutely on point. We've made mental health issues in our community such a stigma that it causes people to hide in the dark corners. It's almost like the way immigrants hide from ICE. If we're dealing with depression, anxiety, or something like that, we have to hide. And as Black people, we're also very much people of faith. And so it is oftentimes the Black church that continues to push these stigmas forward. Pray, go to the altar, trust God, repent, be baptized all over again, because if you believe God, then God is going to make everything okay. And we have to stop that, because the same pastor and the same preacher that will tell you to trust God when it comes to your mental health is the same pastor who will make sure they're taking their high blood pressure medication, because we know in the Black church, everything surrounds food. And so we're taking our diabetes medication. We talking about, oh, we got sugar and we got pressure because of how we eat and because of the habits and the culture of our community, and we'll take that medication, but we will not deal with it, what is happening with us mentally, emotionally, and socially. And so that's why in the church and amongst a lot of our adults, alcoholism and substance abuse, and that stuff is so pervasive in our community. The addiction did not, and I'm a substance abuse counselor, so I started our drug court. So the addiction did not necessarily start first. It was the mental health that we suppressed suppressed and we didn't deal with. And everybody knew that little Johnny was a little off or dealing with some things, but no one wanted to deal with it. And so when they turn to crack, when they turn to pills, when they get into negative relationships, everyone wants to act surprised, but it's because we will not deal with the very pervasive mental health issues that are happening in our community that we can't turn it around. So it's not just about educating our young people, but it really is about our adults coming to terms with the fact that we have suppressed the level of mental illness in our community, and we have to stop it. Because when our young people and our adults are committing suicide, we saw a lot of things happening, but we have learned as people of color that we have 99 problems and mental health can't be one of them, that we don't have time, we can't afford to be mentally ill. And so we suppress it. And especially for us as women, we wear this mask of being the strong Black woman.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
And that mask is getting to a point, sis, and I'm going to say this to you, Danielle, that mask gets to a point where we start to suffocate and we start to die and we look angry. We're not angry, but we're not mad, but there are some things that we're mad about. And when it comes to our young men and our men, we tell them to be strong, buck up, get over yourself, don't cry, don't be a punk. And then we use some other P words for young men who try and express their feelings. And we have to stop it. We have to deal with the underlying cause of what is going on and destroying our community. And so that's where the negative relationships and the unhealthy relationships and the substance abuse and all of these other behaviors, trying to hook up and become part of a posse because you're looking for meaning. You're looking for someone to be able to feel me. We always say that, do you feel me, dog? Yes, I feel you, but I may not have the tools to help you. And so let me send you to someone who has the ability to help you. It's not always just about medication, but it is about starting the conversation. And if someone needs medication to help balance out the chemicals in their mind and in their heart, is no different than the medication that we're taking to deal with our high blood pressure and our sugar diabetes and whatever else we're taking care of. So we have to stop it. Because it's not the man doing it to us, it's us doing it to ourselves. And we have to move beyond ignorance to treatment so that our community, again, can heal.
That is such a great answer.
Yes, it was. Just very quickly, man, that was well said. One thing when we talk about mental health, right? Coming in the door, I started a community group. First 2 weeks of me being in office, I made sure that my health department, Dr. Griffin, gathered all of our nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations. We wanted to identify all of the agencies that were and are in East Orange who was dealing with mentally health, right? But let me say, as not only a mayor but a martial arts instructor, I teach my young kids each and every day that it's all right to be you, right? It's all right that when you're going to things that you don't feel sometimes normal, but it's all right to reach out, right? Because sometimes here in our community, we often quite say to ourselves and say to others, I don't want nobody to know my business, right? But a lot of times we go through different things, not knowing that it's normal to reach out. As the mayor said, a lot of times we're afraid, we're embarrassed, we feel that isolation, right? So through my martial arts, one thing I learned over the years, it's 4 generations of my family that went through martial arts. My grandfather, my father, I gotta say myself, and my 2 sons. Now my grandson. It'd be 6 generations.
Wow.
And one thing through martial arts, what I teach meditation, right? Because I quite often tell kids when I do get a chance to have a roundtable discussion, listen, I lost my sister of aneurysm, and I tell this story quite often. I lost my sister of aneurysm. 8 months later, my brother committed suicide in the house, right? A week after burying my brother, my grandfather passed in the house. 6 months later, my godson got killed on Rhode Island Avenue. So seeking help is a normal thing. So most people say to me a lot, like, man, how do you deal with this? Because we can't be afraid to reach out. Even myself, how strong I am, how strong my dad is, we had to go get counseling because my brother left me with 4 daughters. My sister left me with 2 boys with no dads around. And I had to be that daddy, uncle to 6 different kids. And then I had my own kids. I can tell you a story. And right now, I raised my niece, Jasmine, Jaleisha, Amadi, Javon and Emmett. And my nephew, very quickly, I like to tell this story. My nephew was born with cerebral palsy. When my sister passed, he was 4 years old. I didn't want to see him I didn't want to see him going to a home. Nobody else wanted to take care of him. But the point I'm making, all of us somehow, we go through things. Our young men, we go through stuff. Our young ladies. But the number one thing, don't ever be afraid to reach out. Don't ever be afraid to call somebody like Jamila or the mayor from Patterson, Mayor Howard, right? Because one thing you'll learn, you're human, right? We're not perfect. And right now, even as adults, I tell people, there's some mental things I have to get off sometime, right? But we're not afraid. When you know that who you are and who when you reach out to people, it's a normal thing because so many people, as the mayor said, hold so much in. Let me just say this to our young men. One thing I constantly tell our young men when I meet with my young men at my martial arts school, don't ever be afraid to let a woman see you cry. That don't mean that you're weak. It means that you're human. That means that you have feelings and that you care about things. I mean, in the world we live in, yes, men say this. You better not fall and cry. You better not do this and cry. But what it teaches our young men to start not having emotions, right? And that's a bad thing. I mean, I'm a dude. I don't mind telling the young ladies, hey, babe, you look good. You know, I'm not feeling too well today because the society teaches us we got to be strong. We got to be tough. We are in our own way. And I want the men to hear this because a lot of times in our community, they grow up so hard. That's why and this is another subject we can get into. That's why they are struggling with relationships. They can't relate. Because we done said, if you fall, you better not ever let a woman see you cry. Get up, wipe it off, be tough. You better not ever. And we constantly do that. And what happens, we grow up in a mode. And there's some, young ladies, the parents say the same thing. But it's nothing wrong with being you.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with, listen.
I love that.
Wrong with being you. And I tell people, what's the most easiest thing is to do? To be you. Because when you walk past that mirror at your house and you look at that mirror and say to yourself, I love that person I'm looking at. And I feel good about that person I'm looking at in that mirror. That's when you know who you are.
Good
and that's when you know that you are that person. Be you. It's hard, but the mental illness is a big issue in our community. But I can tell you, under this administration and others, we are dealing with it.
Good stuff. Okay, so we are running behind on time, so we're going to speak.
I'm sorry.
No problem. This is a great conversation, and the fact that you guys are taking time out your day to pour in to our students on screen and who are listening, because we have them listening. They've had watch parties, so they got their friends and their friends' listening. So you got tons of youth all over your city and probably other cities listening in because they feel that this is a great opportunity to actually be able to sit down with their mayor and another partnering mayor who are concerned about their issues. So we are very grateful for you guys.
Can I have 60 seconds? Can I have 60 seconds?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quote from James Baldwin, because a lot of people are also dealing with LGBTQIA plus questions that we don't want to deal with in our community. And so James Baldwin said this: somebody, your father or mine, should have told us that not many people have ever died of love, but multitudes have perished and are perishing every hour in the oddest places for the lack of it. So we can't allow our young people to die homeless and sitting in corners, not because we love them, but because of the lack of love.
Wow, that's good stuff. Good stuff. So Nessa, will you come on and introduce yourself and tell them what is important to you?
Hi, my name is Naza Eza. I go to Cecilia.
Hey, Mayor. I go to Cicely L. Tyson, and I am a rising senior. And what's important to me is I feel as though the youth have to have something to do, not only during the summer, but as they go to school during as we're in a pandemic right now, they need something to do. Not only part time, but as part time, because we understand that youth, young adults, they get in trouble as an idle mind is a devil's playground. So with that being said, I feel as though the city has to implement, like, the summer program was great. I took a lot from the summer program, but the city has to implement not only a summer program but like a fall program that we could be able to get paid maybe year round as we continue to get the skills and stuff that we need for our future. So I feel as though we should. So I feel as though we should be not only implementing this as a year-round program, but opening up it to kids who are going to college and kids who are doing stuff, because they need the money and they can use the extra income for their college and for their school fees and for the things that they need for school.
Okay.
Yes. So listen, that's why this year, working with Jamila and her partnership, we was probably one of the few cities to make sure our young people had an opportunity to have a work experience. This was just over 300 some kids, if I'm right, Jamila, who had an opportunity. And we will continue to work hard along with my administration, East Orange City Council. We've been working hard. We know how important it is for all our young people to get experience. And I know how important it is. You want your own money to buy your own things so you can help mom or dad or grandma out or granddad. We know how important that is. We're working every day, even before this pandemic kicked in, to try to find companies that does business with the city of East Orange. One of my pet peeves is if you're a business and you're doing business with the city of East Orange and you're making money, we want you to hire some of our young people.
That's
and
right.
If you renege on that, guess what? Next time that contract come up, I'm getting rid of you, because if you can't help us, then we can't help you. You know, this is not about folks making a lot of money and then we got young people who can be working for some of these companies or some of these businesses in our community. One thing they know about Ted Green, if you're making money, then guess what? Give our young people an opportunity to work in your company, get them an opportunity to get some experience, give them an opportunity to grow and learn. But if you don't want that for my community and our community, then guess what? That contract is going out the door, and I mean that. So we're working hard to make sure our young people get the same opportunity that anybody else get.
That's good stuff. So now we have Faith. Faith, will you come in and introduce yourself and talk about what you're passionate about?
Good afternoon. My name is Faith Okanubi, and I'll be.
Hey, Faith.
Hi, and I'm passionate about bullying, but specifically bullying due to a functional disorder. A functional disorder is a person that has a functional disorder is a person that's mostly able and doesn't have to be separated from the classroom. My functional disorder that I'm mostly going to speak about is my speech impediment. Growing up was a whole struggle. Like, I encountered bullying from all stages of my life. So to ensure that this does not happen to anybody else, I've imposed a 2-strike rule. The first strike will be a warning, a strict, heavily strict warning. The second implementation will be automatically suspension, but also mandatory behavioral therapy so that bullying doesn't happen again to anybody that has a functional disorder.
Wow. And Lillian, I think you also share in that same. Lillian, I see you on the screen. I know you've been having problems with your camera. Are you able to get on, Lillian?
I'm here.
Okay. So could you join in about what you feel? I know bullying, introduce yourself. And I know bullying is also something that you want to come help fight against.
All right. So my name is Lillian Abuku. I am from East Orange STEM Academy. I am going to 11th grade on September. And I am really passionate when it comes to bullying because I don't feel like schools are doing enough about bullying. I feel like teachers are sometimes the bystanders or sometimes the bullies. So I don't feel like kids are safe in the schools. And I just want schools to just do more when it comes to bullying. So, for example, in 8th grade, I had this girl bullying me, and I went to the guidance counselor and I told her this girl is bullying me. And all she did was just have a talk with the girl. She didn't make sure that I wasn't getting bullied by any other people. She didn't make sure of that. So I just really want schools to do more. And I have a list of proposals of solutions that I really think schools should go more into, which is like investigation. Like if someone's getting bullied, like they need to investigate, and also just educate the teachers and the students, because I feel like a lot of people just forget the fact that bullying is a life and death situation, because you don't know the person who's getting bullied, you don't know what they're going through. So I just really want schools to do enough, do something more, but I don't feel like they're doing that.
Wow. So I want to, I kind of went to the back. But I want to say this. We're getting feedback, and we wasn't before. Okay, good. So I feel as though that you guys can use your voice. You have a city now who says that we hear you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want you to be inclusive. So I feel as if you guys really put together your campaigns and organize them, right? That your voices will be heard. You're in a city that's probably one of the most friendly cities that we've ever taken place in and been a part of, who you have a passionate mayor and a passionate city council that wants to hear your voices. I feel as though, I don't know if there's a junior council in your city or a junior committee, Mayor Green, where they're able to bring organized things to you guys that could be implemented or that you could hear, but maybe a way or a system where some of the things that they're talking about can actually be implemented into your current, to the current state of your city.
Yes, as I said earlier, we quite often have this charge is that we're one city, one community. We have one goal. That goal is progress. Our doors are open. Like I said, when school was in session, each month we would meet with the different schools, the student council at the schools. We would meet with the nonprofit organizations. So we want our young people to know our doors are open. We know how important it is that for kids to go to school and learn. I can say that I'm totally against our young people not knowing how to deal with each other. And that's so important about high school and so important about junior high school and grammar school. When we talk about bullying, first of all, it starts at the home, right? It starts home with these parents teaching our young people about bullying hurt and being that type of person. Plus, I always say, because it happened to me as a young man growing up. People thought because I knew karate that I never got bullied, but that's why my father really started teaching us, because it happened to me. A guy named Calvin and bullied me, and I didn't know. Back then you just thinking the dude just messing with you, but I know how that feels, and it's not a good feeling. To me, the other person is a weak person when they pick on other people that they feel that can't defend themselves. But a point of the matter is that I know that the Board of Education and the board members, we have been working together, I know last year, to kind of bring some awareness to bullying. But I do believe that if our young people want to come in and talk about it, and we start a campaign, but again, it starts at home. It starts with our recreation department. Everybody got to talk about it, and everybody got to be involved and interfere when these things are happening. So to our young people, we want you to know that you don't only have one voice, you have other voices, and we want to be a part of your guys' lives. You just got to reach out, and anything that we can do to help. But I can tell you, since we're having these conversations on this thread today, I'm going to definitely make sure I talk to the personnel that I need to talk to so it doesn't happen. I just hope that our young people find a common ground to learn each other and talk to each other and learn each other's culture and learn each other what we're about. Because when you sit down and talk to each other and communicate with each other, it lessens the nonsense, because we get to learn each other. Because guess what? All of you are beautiful in your own way. All of us have some shortcomings. All of us are very unique. God didn't make all of us the same. All of us are different in some kind of way. But till we realize that we're one, then we're going to get it be a little better in this world and in the city of East Orange. And we're working hard on that. Our message is clear that we want everybody to be a part of this community and feel that they're a part of this community because they are.
That's good stuff. So we coming to a close. We were supposed to actually have our Zoom session. However, we're going to come to a close, but I have two people that I want to call on, which is Neza and Danielle. Could you please let both of the mayors know what you guys have going on the 19th, what is happening, why it's important to you, and what you guys are doing about it. And we're also inviting the mayors back. We're inviting the council people back. This is definitely important to us and the Until Freedom team. I don't know if Angelo is still in. If Angelo is in, you can put him back in as well. But we want to start with you, Neza. Could you talk about the rally on the 19th and why it was important to you, what it's about? And Danielle, can you talk about how you guys have organized and what folks can expect to see in the city of East Orange on the 19th?
Okay, so on the 19th, we have organized a Black Lives Matter rally at City Hall. And this rally is important to me because I feel as though we have the Black and Brown community. There has been a disproportionality in the Black and Brown community for almost 400 years. Even after slavery and even after we gained our emancipation, we have still been discriminated against. It's still racism, like things like that still exist. Even after the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we're still till this day fighting for justice. So I feel as though since we are the future and since we have a voice, we have to use our platform to let people know that you will not continue to kill us and you will not continue to make us die out, because we have a future. We want to see us ourselves graduating from college. We want to have kids. We want to do stuff like that. So you cannot, if you won't at least hear us out, we'll march until you hear us. And I feel as though that is important because our community, they see one thing I realized not only about society is society responds to things they don't understand. So when they see that the Black and Brown community are peacefully protesting and peacefully standing together, they're not going to understand it because they're so used to the Black and Brown community going against each other. So I feel as though that is important, that we show them that we have some type of unity, because if they don't understand it, they're going to want to know more about it and they're going to want to change and stand with us.
So what is your march about exactly? And who are you marching for? Because you guys chose a specific thing that you wanted to rally about.
Yes, we are marching for Maurice Gordon. He was a student in Poughkeepsie. I don't know if I said that right, New York. And he was traveling on the Garden State Parkway when a New Jersey State trooper shot and killed him. And we are marching for him because he didn't have to die like that. One thing about we're marching for his life to raise awareness since it happened in our state. Because one thing people don't understand is that the police's job is to de-escalate a situation and not escalate it. So Maurice Gordon would have still been alive right now if that police officer took time out of his whatever he was doing to de-escalate the situation, to sit there and ask him, well, do you need help? Are you going far? What's the matter? What can I do for you? If he actually took time to see what was bothering the young man, he would still be alive instead of dead right now. So I feel as though we're marching for him. We have to let the world know that his life mattered as well as Breonna Taylor's and George Floyd's. His life mattered as well.
I love it. And Danielle, can you tell them how you guys are organizing and how serious you guys are taking this whole rally and what's happening behind the scenes?
Okay, so we have formed many different committees, one having to do with budget, one having to do with signage, all these different things, which we are sending to City Council to get approved and all of that. So we can actually spread this so we can make it a big thing. We can get everybody in East Orange included so we can all feel like we're involved in sustaining and making our future possible for our kids to feel safe in their communities, no matter where they go or who they encounter. So we're definitely working on that. We've even created shirts which include all these different names of Black lives that have been lost, whether it's people from the LGBT community, all of that, because we all as Black people matter. Not only a certain group of Black people matter, but we all matter, no matter what you identify as or who you are. So we're doing all of this together, and we've been working on it since last week so we can make this a thing, and we hope to see you there. And we're really just trying to make this come together.
Where y'all walking from? Where y'all starting at?
So we're trying to, they wanted to do the park, but we have to get it all approved. So we're putting the plans in now. We've been working closely with Miss LaDonna Johns, and I know Sandria has been working also just to get the road clear and approved as far as the march is concerned. But the whole Until Freedom team is a part of this, even though they're in Kentucky. They're sending folks into the community. Like, we're expecting to have a grand slam youth-led. So they organize their whole entire march. So this is not adults telling them what to do. They actually have committees. They actually research why they want to do what they want to do. And I'm so proud. Like Mayor Patterson-Howard, I know you have some incredible kids in your city too, but these kids right here in East Orange, they have definitely stepped up to the plate and really blown us away. The Until Freedom team goes across the world doing this work. And they said there's something about these kids in East Orange and what they've been able to create and do.
That's that East Orange pride. I keep telling people.
So good. What we're gonna do is we're expecting nationwide news on this. We are expecting Seton Hall is also involved. We are coming out strong. We feel as though there are 300 students that are in the program, but they've told their friends, they've told their friends' friends. And one thing about kids, the millennials, they know how to organize. So I wouldn't be surprised if on Thursday, we have thousands of folks lined up in East Orange marching, and not just Black Lives Matter. They want this particular life of this particular young man who was killed in their city, that his voice be heard and not go unrecognized. So
I love it.
So, Jamila,
yes,
we have a connection here because William O. Wagstaff III, who is his attorney, who is representing the family, lives here in Mount Vernon, is my good friend, and just led my judicial selection committee. So East Orange and Mount Vernon are connected, through this case, and we will reach out to William and see if he can come.
Whoa,
as well as
that would be so amazing. Wow. Yeah. Do you guys hear that? That would be, I'm sorry, guys. I got blown away on that one. This is like the synergy is all aligning.
I love it. Listen, anything we can do on the mayor's side, I quite often say, and Jamila, you've been hearing me say it, and the mayor, we had a great talk. Our young people are phenomenal. As long as they know that we're standing behind them and don't be afraid to give them the leadership role, they're going to do it. And that's one thing about this mayor. I'm not afraid to allow our young people to shine. Like my grandson always say, "We lit, granddad. We lit."
Yes, they are lit. And guess what? This rally on the 19th is going to be lit.
Let's go. Y'all are the best.
Shawn, to your students on Friday, we had a town hall. Tamika interviewed Shawn King. He's all in. He's like, listen, we want to support the kids there. Tamika Mallory, Angelo Pinto, Mike Son Lennon. The list of activists go on and on and on. They see your city. They see what's happening. So we're all going live. We're going live on the 19th. The kids actually have an agenda set. So they have folks who are speaking, folks, they have all their little stuff that they put together and their way of organizing. So again, Mayor Ted Green, we thank you for the opportunity to lead your students, and we're looking forward to the 19th. Mayor Shawn.
They leading us. I'm good with it. We following them. They got our support anytime.
Please reach out to your contact, which is the attorney. Let him know that we're trying to figure out whatever way we can to use our voices to have his client's life still be commemorated, even upon death. So whatever we could do, even after this is over, to bring awareness to this particular case that I did not know about. So the kids educated me about the case, right? So we want to be able to educate many others out there who do not know about this case. So whatever help or support we could get from the family and from the attorney, that would be amazing.
I just put his information in the chat.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take that information down. So guys, we are signing off because we had this platform until 2:00. You guys have your specialized classes. We were supposed to do a Zoom, but I didn't want to cut that short. So we're going to invite the council back after the rally because you guys are doing your rally. We're going to get the council back so you can find out exactly who your councilmen are. No, we want you to understand the districts. So you have different districts in your area. So we want to give them an opportunity to come back in and do a session with you guys to explain who they are and what district they represent. That way, when you're taking issues, because there's a chain of command, you don't just get to the mayor. In the East Orange SWEP program, we allowed you to get to the mayor, but you just don't just go to the mayor's office and say, I have an issue. There's a chain of command. So we want our young people to understand and know the chain of command. And when you have an issue or a problem, first, what do? Instead of just talking about the problem, people talk about the problem all day, report it and then leave if that's the case. But if you have a solution, they want to hear your solution. We want to teach you guys how to organize your thoughts, put them together and present it to city council so that you can have your solutions come to life in your city. They've already said they're interested. They've already said that they want to know what you have to say. So now it's up to you. The ball is back in your court. How are you going to organize a campaign around what's important to you? And how are you going to present that to your local city council who can then vet it and then bring it up the chain of command? So we will talk about that and do that in a different session. So everybody tuning in, we thank you so much. All of our SWEP students, you have afternoon classes. Please go to your afternoon classes, and we are going to postpone our Zoom session, but we're going to have an organized session so that we can teach you more about civic engagement and have you hear directly from your city council members. So thank you all for tuning in and have a great rest of the day. Thank you again, Mayor Shawn Patterson-Howard and Mayor Ted Green. We are so honored to be on this platform with you today. Have a great rest of the day and God bless.